My name is Vinny Prasad, and today I'm going to talk to you about how to teach our students dividing fraction by a fraction conceptually. Let's take a look at a word problem. The baker had 1/2 pound of flour left to make some cakes. Each cake he makes requires 1/4 of a pound of flour. How many cakes can the baker make? So we have some important information here. We have 1/2 pound of flour that the baker has, and we now know it takes 1/4 of a pound of flour to make some cakes. What do you think would be a reasonable quotient? Do you think our quotient will be in a fraction form or in a whole number? What do we need to do first here? What are we looking for? We're trying to figure out how many cakes the baker can make. So let's write that down. The baker can make blank cakes. So we have 1/2 pound of flour, and for each cake he uses 1/4 of a pound of flour. So we need to see how many 1/4ths are in 1/2. So our problem we're trying to find out is 1/2 divided by 1/4. 1/2 pound of flour is what he has, and we want to find out how many cakes he can make, and each cake takes 1/4 of a pound of flour. Let's represent our 1/2 pound of flour with a fraction bar. There's my whole, and we've been told that he has 1/2 of a pound of flour. We've also been told that it takes 1/4 of a pound of flour to make cake. So we need to find out how many 1/4ths are in 1/2. 1/4 and 1/4. We have 1/4, we have 2/4. So there are 2 1/4ths in 1/2. So the baker can make 2 cakes. Does this sound reasonable? Could a baker really make 2 cakes? How do you normally check your division problem? One way we can check this problem is by doing repeated addition. 1/4 plus 1/4, does it equal 1/2? Or 1/4 times 2, which is 1/2. Now let's try this problem using Cuisenaire rods. Here we have our whole represented by the brown piece. I've discovered that 2 of these purple pieces can be represented by our 1/2 pound of flour, and our 1/4 pound of flour can be represented by the red pieces because there are 4 parts to our whole. So let's take our 1/2 pound of flour. We're trying to figure out how many cakes we can make with our 1/2 pound of flour. Here's my 1/4, and here's another 1/4. So again, we have 2 cakes that the baker can make. After your students are able to grasp the concept using concrete models, let's move on to a number line. Our problem is still 1/2 divided by 1/4. And here we have 1/2. And let's divide it into fourths. So we have 0, 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and 4/4. And we're trying to figure out how many cakes can he make with this much flour. So we have this much. We're trying to figure out how many fourths. Well, here's 1/4, and here's 1/4. So we have 2 1/4 pieces that he can make for his cake. The baker can make 2 cakes. Again, when teaching to students, I would go back and ask the same questions I asked when modeling with manipulatives. Does this sound reasonable? Can the baker make 2 cakes? One way to check would be 1/4 times 2, which is 2/4, which is 1/2. Some students might have some misconceptions about dividing a fraction by a fraction. So asking them if the quotient is bigger than the dividend, smaller than the dividend, bigger or smaller than the divisor, determining the reasonableness of an answer will help students have a better understanding of the quotient. Today we've just gone over how to divide a fraction by a fraction conceptually.